I wore another man's hoodie to his family BBQ. He tossed me out publicly. Hey Reddit, first time posting here on a throwaway account. I'm very active on my main account, so for privacy, I can't risk having this story tied to it. Some of my friends and coworkers are on Reddit, and this isn't exactly the kind of thing I want floating around where it could get screenshotted, passed around, or worse, sent directly to someone I know. I've read enough stories on here to know that sometimes the person posting is very clearly the villain. And I'll be honest, maybe that's me in this situation. I don't know. I've been spiraling trying to figure it out. Was I being dumb, selfish, starved for attention? Or have I just been cruising through life thinking the line between harmless flirting and emotional betrayal didn't matter until it blew up in my face? So yeah, this isn't easy to type out, but maybe I deserve the judgment. Or maybe I just need to hear from people who don't know me at all, who don't already have a side to pick. Let me back up. I'm a 32-year-old woman, married to my husband Michael, 31 male, for 4 years. We met back in college, but didn't actually start dating until years after graduation. We were friends first, casual classmates, study buddies, then life happened, a couple years passed, and somehow we circled back to each other, and it just felt right. Michael is the kind of guy who grounds you, solid, reliable, emotionally intelligent in a way that's rare in men, at least in my experience. He's the type who never yells, never gaslights, never plays games. He's thoughtful, practical, and annoyingly good at reading people. He always knows when something's off, including when I'm the one being off. Our marriage has been great, honestly. I'm not saying we're perfect or that we never argue. What couple doesn't? But until recently, things were genuinely good. Which is why this whole thing now has me sick to my stomach. Because this has been brewing for a while and I just ignored it. Brushed it off. I convinced myself it wasn't serious, that Michael was just being sensitive or overreacting. I laughed off his concerns. I rolled my eyes and told him he was making something out of nothing. The problem started with a coworker of mine. I'll call him Liam. This whole Liam thing, it's not something that came out of nowhere. This is something Michael and I have actually had arguments about. Not just once, not just twice, multiple times for weeks, maybe even months. And every single time I'd get a little defensive, brush it off like he was just being jealous or dramatic or too sensitive. I mean, I wasn't cheating, right? That was my go-to line. In my head and out loud, I wasn't cheating, I would never cheat, and it was just harmless. And honestly, I believed that. At the time, mostly. Okay, so let me explain. Liam, he's my coworker. We work in the same department, and earlier this year, we were paired up on a really big project. That was how it all started. We clicked. That's the best way I can describe it. We had the same sense of humor, the same sarcastic takes on office politics, the same shared frustration with our team lead. It was easy. And yeah, Liam's that guy. You know the type. Way too confident, probably too flirty for his own good. That smooth kind of cockiness that makes you want to roll your eyes and laugh at the same time. And for some reason, people let him get away with it. Because he's funny. Because he knows how to charm. So at some point he started jokingly calling me his work wife, and I laughed. I thought it was funny. I thought, oh, haha, that's cute. So I called him my work husband right back. You know, that thing people say in offices when they share snacks or make coffee for each other or complain about their boss. I really, truly thought it was just banter. Like office culture flirting that never actually means anything. It's dumb, sure, but it's common. At least that's what I told myself. But then it became a thing, like a running joke. I'd bring him coffee, he'd leave stupid sticky notes on my desk, we'd eat lunch together more often than not. Everyone at work knew. People played along. Ooh, your hubby brought you lunch again. That kind of crap. And again, I didn't think it mattered. It felt light, playful. Except Michael hated it. The first time Michael actually met Liam was at one of those work mixers. You know, the corporate kind where everyone pretends to be more professional than they actually are while drinking bad cocktails and making awkward small talk over cheese cubes. I could bring a +1, so of course I brought Michael. I figured it'd be nice for him to meet some of the people I always came home talking about. I wasn't even nervous. I thought it would be cool, even funny. This is Liam, the guy I always joke about being my work husband. Look, babe, see? No big deal. Yeah, big fucking mistake. Even just remembering it now makes me cringe into my own spine. Liam walked up to us with that smug look he always has, like he knows something you don't and thinks it's hilarious. He gave Michael the limpest handshake known to man, like wet noodle energy. No strength, no respect, just this weird little half shake with a lopsided smirk on his face. And then, as if that wasn't already enough to make things weird, he said something like, "So you're the lucky guy who gets to take her home, man. I envy you." Yeah, he actually said that to my husband's face, and not even like in a charming, funny way. It was smug, casual, weird. Michael just smiled, didn't say anything. Just this tight, polite, controlled kind of smile that I immediately recognized. I've been with this man long enough to know when he's silently fuming behind his eyes. He didn't blow up or get passive-aggressive. He just stood there, shook the guy's hand, took it all in and shut down. And I, being the absolute idiot that I was, tried to keep the night light and breezy. I kept chatting, introducing him to my other coworkers, grabbing another drink, pretending everything was totally fine. Because I didn't want to make a scene or acknowledge that Liam had just disrespected him right to his face. Maybe I didn't even want to believe it was that bad. I mean, Liam was always a little much. He flirted with everyone. That's just how he was, right? No need to get all worked up over something like that. When we got back to the car, that was when Michael finally let it out. He told me flat out that he didn't like Liam, that he thought the guy was a prick, and not in a harmless, goofy kind of way, a real one. He said there was just something about him that rubbed him the wrong way. The way he spoke, the way he looked at me, the way he acted like Michael was just some footnote, some invisible placeholder in my life. And what did I do? I laughed, literally laughed it off like it was nothing. Told him Liam was just like that. He flirts with everyone. He has a weird sense of humor. He doesn't mean anything by it. He's harmless. It's just Liam. That was the first argument we ever had about him. Because Michael didn't think it was harmless. He thought it was blatant disrespect. He said the way Liam behaved didn't sit right with him, that he didn't trust him, that something felt off. And I, in all my dumbass glory, brushed it aside, told him he was overthinking it, that he was being insecure, that I would never cross a line. So what did it matter how Liam acted? Looking back, I can see now how that must have felt. Like I was choosing to protect Liam's behavior instead of validating my own husband's feelings. Like I cared more about keeping things playful and fun at work than I did about the tension it was putting in my marriage. And the thing is that night should have been a wake-up call, but instead I used it as an excuse to dig my heels in. I told myself Michael just didn't understand office culture, that he was being dramatic. And if you're reading this thinking, girl, what the hell were you doing? Trust me. I'm asking myself the same damn thing. That night ended up being just the first in what turned into a string of arguments about Liam. It didn't happen every day or anything, but you know how some things just keep bubbling under the surface, and eventually they start slipping into places they don't belong? That's what this became. Michael started picking up on how often I mentioned Liam, like really picking up on it. Anytime I talked about work, just casual stuff, venting, recapping a funny moment if Liam's name came up. Which, yeah, it did a lot. Michael would get this tight look on his face. Not angry exactly, just this blank sort of annoyed expression. And then he'd say something like, "Funny how Liam always seems to be in your stories." And honestly, he wasn't wrong. I didn't even realize it at first, but Liam was always there. Liam said this. Liam made that joke. Liam spilled coffee all over the conference table. Liam made that dumb pun that cracked me up. It was like he just kept showing up in my day-to-day recaps. And to me, it didn't feel weird because he was part of my everyday life at work. I mean, we were on the same project, sat near each other, worked together on tight deadlines. So of course he'd pop up in my stories, right? At least that's how I justified it. But yeah, I can admit now I liked the attention. I liked how Liam talked to me. I liked that he laughed at my jokes even when they were bad. That kind of effortless banter that made the day go faster. You know how rare that is in an office? Most people are dull and just trying to survive the day. Liam was like a spark. Always leaning a little too close. Always teasing. Always noticing little things. My haircut, my earrings, my mood. Always quick with a smirk or a compliment. And yeah, I ate it up. Not because I wanted to sleep with him. Not because I didn't love my husband. But because it felt nice. It felt good to be seen like that. To be reminded I was still attractive. Still fun. But the problem is I didn't realize how that came across to Michael. Or maybe I just didn't want to realize. Because every time he brought it up, I'd brush it off like it was nothing. I'd tell him he was being too sensitive, that I wasn't doing anything with Liam, that it was just talk, just work, just jokes, nothing physical, no secret messages, no sneaking around. And technically that was true. I wasn't cheating. There was no affair. But I also wasn't being fully honest with myself either, because emotional cheating doesn't always show up wearing the same outfit as physical cheating. It's not always texts at 2 a.m. or lipstick on a collar. Sometimes it's subtler. Sometimes it's the way you start dressing just slightly nicer for work, or looking forward to seeing that coworker. Now let's fast forward to the BBQ. Michael's family is one of those big, tight-knit types who love throwing backyard hangouts, grilling beer, kids running around with water guns, lawn chairs scattered everywhere, and people yelling over a speaker that's always just a little too loud. One of those laid-back but somehow hectic gatherings where everyone knows everyone's business. That morning had already been chaotic for me. Michael had left hours before I did to help with setup. I stayed behind doing chores and trying to figure out what the hell to wear. I wasn't in the mood to dress up, and honestly, I just wanted something comfy. My go-to oversized gray hoodie was still damp in the dryer, so I grabbed the black one hanging off the coat rack. I didn't think twice about it. The problem? It wasn't mine. It was Liam's. I know how that sounds. Trust me, it sounds awful even typing it out now. But at the time, it didn't even register. Months ago, I spilled coffee all over my shirt during a deadline rush. Liam had that hoodie lying around and lent it to me. He never took it back. I never remembered to give it to him, and somehow it just blended into my closet. I got there maybe 2 hours after him. Walked in through the front, chatted a bit with his mom inside. She was always sweet to me, always made me feel welcome. I said hi and then made my way to the backyard. Michael was at the grill, talking to a few of his uncles and his dad. Classic Michael, always calm. When he saw me, though, his expression changed. He walked straight over to me, didn't smile, didn't say hi. He looked down at the hoodie, and I could see it click. He sort of paused, then he asked me whose hoodie I was wearing. And I froze. Not because I had something to hide, but because the question felt so loaded all of a sudden. Like my brain hadn't caught up with how this looked until right that second. And then he asked again because it wasn't his and it wasn't mine. So whose the hell was it? I was painfully aware that people were starting to notice. His cousin Melissa was waving from across the lawn. Some kids had stopped mid-game, and I could feel eyes glancing in our direction. I told him it was Liam's, that it had been left at work months ago, that it wasn't a big deal, but he didn't buy that, not even a little. And now I get it. It looked awful. Wearing another man's hoodie to your husband's family BBQ? A man he already didn't like? A man you've had multiple arguments about? It looked careless at best, disrespectful at worst. I didn't mean it that way, but that didn't matter anymore. Intent didn't matter. Perception did. He asked why I even brought it home in the first place, why I didn't just leave it at work or give it back the next day, and I didn't have a good answer for that. Because the truth is, I didn't think about it. Not the way I should have. I just treated it like any other piece of clothing I threw on without thinking. And I should have apologized. I should have said sorry and taken it off right there. I should have acknowledged how it looked and taken responsibility. But instead I panicked. I got defensive. I tried to brush it off like it was nothing, just a hoodie, no big deal. I made it worse. That was when he went quiet. Michael isn't the type to yell or cause a scene. He's not dramatic like that. But when he's done, when he's truly done, he's cold, direct. And in that moment, he was done. He just told me to leave. I was stunned. Like, I didn't even know what to say. I thought if I just explained it better or downplayed it enough, maybe he'd back off. But he wasn't having it. He told me again, more firmly this time, leave. That this was the final straw, that I had disrespected him in front of his entire family, that I was pretending like it didn't matter when it clearly did. And then he physically walked me out. It wasn't loud, it wasn't a huge scene, but it was loud enough. You could hear the silence after it. Conversations dipping into hushes, eyes following me as I walked across the backyard. His mom was by the door holding a plate of deviled eggs, just staring at me. His cousin's kid, who'd been running around with a foam sword a second ago, had literally stopped mid-swing and stood there watching. It was one of those times where everything feels like it's happening in slow motion and you're just exposed. I got in my car, drove off. So why am I making a Reddit post instead of trying to talk to my husband? Because I have tried, honestly. I've tried every damn way I can think of. And because he seems to be serious about divorce, like terrifyingly serious. And yeah, it sounded just as crazy to me at first as it probably sounds to you reading this. Divorce? Over this? A hoodie? Liam? A BBQ? But the look in his eyes wasn't for show. It wasn't some dramatic heat-of-the-moment outburst. This was Michael, calm, level-headed Michael, saying he wanted a divorce and then sticking to it like it was already decided. Since that day in his parents' backyard, we haven't had one actual conversation about what happened. Not one. I've tried. I've gone into the guest room, knocked on the door, tried to sit beside him when he's on the couch, offered him food, tried to apologize, but he just shuts it down every time. All I get is him saying he's not in the mood, that he doesn't want to talk, that he's tired. He's been sleeping in the guest room ever since. He still cooks sometimes and helps with chores, but it's quiet, like we're roommates who only speak to coordinate utilities and bills. He doesn't joke around with me anymore. I even told him I gave Liam's hoodie back. I did. Handed it to him the very next day and said, "Don't ever leave your stuff in my office again." And when I told Michael about it, he just nodded. No reaction. No thanks for doing that. No sarcasm. Just a nod like I told him the weather was nice or something. The only actual conversation we've had since that day was when he brought up divorce. Just casually dropped it like it was some item on his to-do list. Like, excuse me? Divorce? I was so stunned I didn't even know what to say at first. Like, yeah, I've made mistakes. I've definitely been careless and oblivious and way too casual about things I should have taken seriously. But divorce? That word has never been in Michael's vocabulary. He's not the type to throw that around for drama. If he says it, he means it. And that's why I'm scared shitless. I'm starting to realize that this isn't just about a hoodie or Liam or the BBQ. It's about all the stuff I ignored, all the little warnings, all the subtle ways he tried to communicate that this bothered him, and I brushed it off every single time. I guess I thought deep down that I could get away with brushing it off because I wasn't technically cheating. I didn't sleep with Liam. I didn't kiss him. There was no sexting. It was just banter, teasing, flirting. But I thought that wasn't a real betrayal. Turns out it was. And I get it now. Maybe I didn't cheat physically, but emotionally, I disrespected the hell out of my husband. I didn't protect the boundaries of our relationship. I thought things were harmless just because I saw them that way, and I never stopped to think how they were affecting him. I made him feel like a third wheel in his own marriage, and I did it like it was no big deal, like he was overreacting. And now he won't even touch me. He won't look at me like he used to, and I'm terrified I fucked this up for good. I guess I'm posting here because I don't know what else to do. I'm not here to be judged. Believe me, I already know I look like the bad guy. I already feel like the bad guy. You don't need to tell me I fucked up. I know I did. I am the villain in this story. The clueless, self-sabotaging villain. I just want to know if there's any way to fix this. If there's anything I can say or do that might actually get through to him. I want my husband back. I don't want a divorce. I want to make this right. I just don't know if it's too late. Has anyone been in a situation like this? Like where your partner completely shut down and emotionally tapped out? Is there any way to reconnect? To rebuild trust? Or should I be preparing myself for the reality that he's already gone? Update. Hi Reddit. I don't even know why I'm here again. I didn't plan on making an update or anything. But yeah, my last post got way more attention than I expected. Like way more. When I posted on that throwaway, I thought I might get a handful of replies, maybe 5, 10 at most. Just something to help me sort through my mess. But instead, I got hundreds of comments. Hundreds. It kind of exploded. And honestly, it was overwhelming. Some of y'all roasted me so hard I actually almost cried reading through the comments. But I still sat with them. Every single reply. I really tried to read all of it. The sarcasm, the harsh truths, the people telling me I'm dodging accountability, downplaying the situation, straight up being delusional, or that I deserved what was happening to me. Honestly, it stung, but it also kind of opened my eyes. Apparently, he saw it too. Yeah, my husband. Or, well, soon-to-be ex. Someone sent it to him. He wouldn't tell me who, but he just texted me a link and said, "This you?" And I mean, what was I going to say? Deny it? I just admitted it. He didn't freak out. He didn't blow up or anything. He was just calm. He didn't really seem to care much that I had posted on Reddit, especially since I had used fake names. Since that first post, a lot has changed. Liam and I, we're not friends anymore. We don't talk. We barely even make eye contact at work. It's been weird, but also a relief. I actually put in a request to be transferred to another project, and I'm hoping it gets approved soon. I don't want to see Liam every day anymore. Not because I hate him, but because just seeing him now makes me feel sick. Not because of what he did, but because of what I allowed. Because every time I see him, I think of Michael walking away. Michael moved out. He left the house we both own. I offered to move instead and said he could buy out my half, but he didn't want to. He just said if I didn't want it either, we could sell it after the divorce. So now he's in an apartment closer to his job, and he seems okay, like genuinely okay. That's probably the hardest part. He seems fine, stable, peaceful, and I feel like I'm breaking more every day. I cry in the shower. I cry when I'm alone in bed. I cry when I see his coffee mug in the sink. I feel drained, empty, resentful mostly at myself, but yeah, sometimes at him too. I keep thinking if he had just given me one more chance, but I also know I don't really deserve it. I had my chance. Several, honestly. He warned me. He tried. He suggested therapy before all this Liam stuff, and I shrugged it off. I literally told him we didn't need counseling because I thought our issues were minor, but they weren't. They were repetitive. They were slowly draining him. And this Liam thing? It was just the final straw. He said he couldn't keep doing this with someone who shrugs off everything, who always laughs things off, who tells him he's being too sensitive, too serious. And you know what? I did do that, over and over again. Everyone's on his side, obviously. My parents told me I've always had a lackadaisical attitude, and that I deflect responsibility too much. Ouch, right? Like I'm out here grieving my marriage and trying to open up. And that's what I get hit with. Our mutual friends wanted to stay neutral, but they're hanging out with him more, supporting him more. I'm not dumb. I see what's happening. I've always known Michael was the more likable one. People gravitate to him. He's warm and grounded. Me? I've always been a bit too nonchalant, too aloof, too me. It's just kind of stung watching people quietly shift to his side. Only person who's been checking in on me is my best friend. She's the only one who hasn't made me feel like absolute trash in this whole mess. And Liam, just seeing his face annoys me now. Like I'm not even angry at him exactly. I'm angry at myself. I'm angry I let things get blurry. I should have drawn the line so much sooner. That stupid work husband joke, that first time Michael met him and Liam made that smug, flirty, creepy comment, I should have shut it down then, but I didn't. I laughed it off, because that's what I do. I laugh shit off. And now I've laughed my marriage into the grave. So yeah, that's the update. I'm just trying to survive right now, trying to carry myself through each night, trying to find reasons to eat, to function, to feel like I'm not a total failure. I didn't think it would come to this. I really didn't. And if you've read this far, thank you. I don't know what I'm looking for: validation, support, a reality check, maybe just space to vent. But thanks for reading. Even if I am the big idiot in this story,